In today's episode, I'm going to walk you through a workshop that is all about vision before volume. A lot of times we get into our busy lives and our busy days and we forget, where are we even going, right? What does the practice that you want to design even look like? Because now you've gotten caught up in the chaos of the day, the weight of the patients, the weight of payroll, the weight of hiring and firing and marketing, and you may have just lost your way. This course is designed to get you straight back on your path. Make sure you bring something to drink, eat, and a fresh mind. And let's get started. I want to tell you something that people do not understand. Most dentists are not lazy, they are not unmotivated. They are just doing a lot. And sometimes that feels super heavy because growth without vision is just noise. You can add days, you can add people, you can add pressure. And one day you look up and you're like, how did I get this far? And when did it get this hard? Before we get started today, I want to invite you to take a deep breath with me. So we're going to go in and out. I want you to put aside everything else that everyone wants, all the worries. I want you to close all the mental tabs that you had open for the week. I want you to acknowledge it as important and as something that you're going to handle after this, because this time it's designed for you. And this time is different, right? This time is set aside for you. My name is Kimmy Curry, and I am the owner of the Rich Dentist podcast. And when you hear the word rich, it's not just rich in numbers, it's rich in clarity, in alignment, and intention. And if you're listening right now, I want to prepare you for what you're about to receive. So make sure you have something to write with. I'm the queen of hotel pins. And then make sure that you're not just passively listening, that you're actually somewhere seated where you have quiet time and reflection time. I usually like to reflect in a walk, in quiet time, or in my office. I would love for you to treat this time like a CE course, not that you're getting any CE credit for, you're not, but mostly a strategy session or a meeting that actually matters to you, because it does. And the thoughts that you'll come up with here and the questions that dive deeper than the surface level and the realizations that you'll have, they deserve to be captured and not just in passing or in a rush. If you are ready to slow down so that you can grow with intention, this is a space for you. I want to do something very simple but so necessary. Unclench your jaw, drop your shoulders. If today felt heavy, you're not alone. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because you've been carrying more than you ever stopped to define. This isn't just about grinding harder. It's about building a practice that supports life, energy, and your values, your core values. So don't multitask while we do this. Give yourself these next moments. You don't need to fix anything today. You don't need to have all the answers today. And you need to be present enough to be able to own what's true to you. This space is about slowing down so you can move forward with intention. It's about building a practice that supports your life and not consumes it. Okay. All right. So now that I've gotten you prepared for the class, can I have your permission to be real? This workshop is designed for dentists that are really ready to grow. It's designed for dentists that are searching for answers and don't just want the cookie cutter answer. Okay. Because I believe that most dentists that come to me are not lazy. I believe that most dentists that come to me are not unmotivated. They actually are already doing a lot, but they're just tired. They're tired of the frustration. They don't know why, and I feel like that's huge. Like if you're looking at a problem and you're not able to diagnose what it is or how to fix it, that's when it becomes overwhelming because you see the problem exists, but you just don't have the skill set to be able to fix it. And what I've learned is this: it's usually not because they need more patience. It's usually not because you need more marketing, but it's because they're growing something they never really named. And what I mean by that is you had a dream to become a dentist. And now that you're a dentist, you're being a dentist, but you haven't really created a vision for your practice. And before you know it, machine starts running and you're adding days and you're adding people, and those people are adding pressure, right? Whether it be the patients or your team. And one day you look up and it just feels so heavy. It feels like I'm making all the decisions. It feels like no one can think at a high level except for me. It feels like I am moving faster than I'm being present for, right? You're moving at a speed that you're not present for. And it feels heavy because growth without vision is just noise. Nobody ever told you to stop and decide, right? We move in the direction of our desires and our decisions. So it's vital that you just stop and start deciding. What do you want your practice to look like? And I want you to write it down. What do you want your practice to look like? And I really would love for you to close your eyes and just imagine, what do I want my practice to look like? Once you've got that, I want you to dive a little bit deeper. Everything should feel personal. So, for example, any dental practice that I have moved in or worked in or helped in is going to have a bomb factor. Okay. Because for me as a patient, when I walk into a dental practice, the very first thing I want to do is brush my teeth because I'm a little self conscious about the fact that I just ate a granola bar and I want to get it out. So I always make sure that the restroom smells great, that there's toothbrushes, toothpaste, floss. And then because I'm a female, there needs to be feminine hygiene products in there. It needs to be a moment of release of anxiety. And that's what I mean about it should feel personal. Your touch should be your signature. And so when someone walks into your practice, it should feel like you have had input, that you have made decisions, and those decisions should make it your own. After you've gotten that written down, I want you to write down, how do you want your days to feel? Okay. So, not how much money you want to make, but how do you want your days to feel? And to take you into that journey mentally, I want you to think about a practice that sees anywhere between 40 to, I would say, 30 to 45 patients per day. And this is probably any Medicaid office, right? You're just swamped with bodies because the fees are low, right? So you have to get your volume up. Or there's a practice you can walk into and maybe they're seeing 3 patients a day. And they're doing cosmetic work and they're doing implants or they're doing veneers or they're doing composite veneers, right? So you may only see 2 or 3 patients per day and you are walking out of there like you saw 30 patients, if not more. So the way that you want your day to feel also will help you start to shift in the correct culture direction. So whereas busy practice needs a certain type of person, maybe that doesn't have a high level of commitment, but they are there, right, in that moment. A practice that's slow needs someone that has high level of commitment, skill, that has good verbiage, that um, has great technical skills, right? Because if someone's paying a higher dollar, just sitting there and suctioning spit, it's not going to cut it, right? So it's gonna start to impact the way that you start to design your surroundings and environment. And a lot of times people always say, Kimmy, you're actually, one of my doctors told me this, Kimmy, you always look at the world with the glass half full. And where did that come from? And I, of course, always give honor to Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior. But directly after that, I want you to realize that when you are a positive individual, that can be nipped in the bud just involving the wrong surroundings and the wrong environment. And so it's super critical that the environment that you're in is conducive to what feels great to you. So once you've written down what you want your days to feel like, we can move on to the next step. Um, and that is, what am I building this for? You have to know, what are you building it for? And just to reference what I do, everything I do is so that my family has the most incredible memories and experiences. Like everything I do is for my family. And because I know that, when my husband, I tell him he has an invisible red button. When he presses that invisible red button and says, "Hey, I need you," or "My children have an event," well, that that's what matters most to me. So I'm not going to continue to work past those things. I'm going to go home. I'm going to lean in. I'm going to be the wife that is nurturing. I'm going to be the mom that is nurturing, because that's what I work for. So I can show up in those moments as my best self. And so write that down. What are you building this for? These questions, once you have your answers and once you've made them very super personal, will help to frame everything for you. So I want you to either type them up or leave it in your handwriting and put it somewhere where you can see it every day. Um, and this will also help you just move, right, differently, so that every decision doesn't feel urgent and every problem doesn't feel super personal. And leadership starts to feel less lonely for you. Most dentists, especially in private practice, feel so lonely. And that's what creates that heavy feeling. It would be as if you lived in a house and all the bills, all the decision making was on you. And yes, you could do that if your partner's, sick or, down or going through depression or just not in a place where they could physically help you, right? You can do it for some time, but just not really sustainable. And so that's what you are facing right now. If you are the only one that has their brain turned on all day, if you're the only one that feels fully committed, if you're the only one that has great verbiage, that's wonderful for you. But in the long scheme of things, it's just not sustainable. And it can get lonely. So here's the truth that most people won't say out loud. And it is, if you don't choose the direction, the practice will choose it for you. And it sounds so simple, but it could happen, in the scheme of a week. You have a team meeting and everyone's throwing in their ideas, and because you don't have a vision that is clear, because you don't have a direction that is certain, because you don't clearly communicate that direction, your whole team is moving in a different direction than you could even imagine for yourself, right? Um, and it usually actually results in chaos, like utter chaos, right? And in all actuality, you're choosing that chaos because you haven't made a firm decision for yourself, for your business, and for your team. So before you chase the next production number of 2026, before you push your team harder in 2026, before you start to even develop your goals for 2026 completely, right? Just slow down enough to answer this. What am I trying to build? What kind of life does it need to support, right? What are you trying to build, and what kind of life does it need to support? What kind of life does your dental practice need to support? Are you right now working 7 days a week and you don't want to be? And that includes admin work, because most dentists that own a private practice are so personally close to it that they feel like no one else is smart enough to do chart prep. No one else is um, willing enough to open early and stay late. No one else can verify, with these new patients, what they're expecting out of their experience, and they want to call every single patient. And I feel like that is a load of heaviness that in time you will discover not only can be taken off, but must be taken off. Because as you start to design what you want your retirement to even look like, right? What you want your days off to look like, what you want your future to look like, what you want your everyday to look like, it's not sustainable to be the smartest person in every single room, or should I say, every single operatory that you walk in. I'm excited to tell you that clarity changes everything. I'm excited to tell you that it makes growth lighter. And I'm excited to tell you that leadership can be quiet, right? It can be kept in your office where you're speaking just like me. not yelling, um, not coming outside of myself. And a lot of people, when I started talking, on the internet, said, you need to be this, you need to be lively, you need to come up with this, you need to do this. And I was super excited that I was able to grow this channel, my life, my career, while maintaining my core values, right? And being myself. And that's what your dental practice should feel like. There isn't this massive moment of this is where it starts, right? But I think just writing things down and encouraging yourself on this is what's important to me. And these are things I don't want to lose sight of. These are things that are worth me sacrificing. And these are things that I really cannot compromise on. That action alone is going to allow you to go into the practice on Monday, and it's going to allow you to take a deep breath, look around you, take accountability, extreme ownership, and move differently. Start your morning huddle instead of just running into the numbers and into the day with an apology of, hey, team, I know that my leadership has been lacking. And over the weekend, I had some reflection time, and the practice is heading in a direction that is not conducive to the life that I want to build or the life that I want you guys to build, especially if it's a burnout center, a burnout clinic, right? Um, and I've started to invest in myself, into my growth, of my leadership, and I want you all to be a part of that. So, um, the more will be coming, on our next team meeting. But I want you guys to just know that if you see a change in me, if you see a different side of me, that's the real me. And who I have been in the past, it's not a reflection of how I want to continue. And even if it's a 1% better every day, right? Nothing's going to change overnight, but even if it's a 1% better every day, that's more than enough. Um, and with that, I want to thank you for coming to this very first workshop. The Rich Dentist podcast is going to be here for you to just be able to grow, to change, to start over, really, right? So that's why I started with vision before volume. Because if you don't have your vision, if you don't have clarity, you really have chaos in every single day. And once again, that's not sustainable. That's not something that will help you fulfill your dreams. And I think it's even important to revisit those dreams, right? What was your why? Was it pressure from your family? Was it a childhood dream that maybe now in adulthood doesn't feel so great? Um, was it for, you know, resources and stability? Is that why you became a dentist? But I think when you revisit your original reason why wanted to become a dentist, it could have been love for science, right? Could have been I didn't get in med school. Could have been all kind of positive things as well as far as work life balance, or I just love teeth. I hear that all the time. So it could have been a positive reason as well. But I want you to revisit it because now you'll look at it with clarity, with clearer eyes, and I think that's important to do as you're growing and as you have graduated school and now as you have been practicing for 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, right? Your why is going to start to shift and become differently. Are you taking care of your body? Are you working out? Are you doing things to make your load easier, right? Are you using lubes? Do you have good lighting? Are you hiring correctly? Because a lot of times you think, oh, why did I hire this person? This person sucks. And you spend so much time trying to change that person, develop that person. When you look back on it, you realize, oh, I hired this person when I was desperate, or I hired this person when my assistant just walked out and I just went on and got a temp, and then the temp just stayed, right? And it felt safe because I knew they were never going to leave me. But in all actuality, I hear so many times doctor tell me, I don't do um, not root canal. I don't do wisdom teeth extraction because my assistant's not that great. I've had assistants in the past where I felt comfortable doing those extractions, but now if I get stuck, I'm just stuck by myself, right? And that is sad. You're doing a disservice to your patient base. And one of the things I am going to ask you to do is just to look at your existing practice from a bigger picture perspective, right? To give an example of this, um, let's say, for example, a spouse and a wife and a husband are arguing about space in their home. One wants it for a workshop, and one wants the same space for, I don't know, something else, right? And for a year, they're arguing over this problem, or not even a combative way, but it's just in a disdain way, like attention way, right? And after being able to look at it from a bigger perspective, there's like, hey, we just need to get a bigger house. Not a big deal at all. Not even something to argue about. We just need to make uh, change and grow, and that's what your vision should do. It should be something that can grow with you forever, right? For your entire career. So it should be 100-year view of how you started, why you started, what you want your days and to feel like, what you want your practice to be able to support as far as the lifestyle that you want to have outside of it, how you want to retire, the legacy that you want to leave. And with that, I'm going to make sure you have my contact information below. I'm going to make sure that you feel supported throughout this transition. I read every comment. I will respond. If it's not immediate, blame my 2-year-old and my 5-year-old. My 3-year-old, she's not 2 anymore. If I don't respond immediately, blame my 3-year-old and my 5-year-old. Just joking. But I am going to respond to you as soon as I can. And I'm super excited to go on this journey with you. And this is episode 1. So be sure to subscribe, um, follow, like, comment, all those things. That way we can continue to push this and grow this. Because if you need this, trust me, your buddy needs this too. So make sure you send it, save it, and rewatch it, right? So do it today and then rewatch it later and see if your answers don't change because it's free. It's free. And nowadays, a lot of things that are real aren't free, right? A lot of things that are of value are not free. And so my purpose in doing these weekly workshops for you is to do just that, to bring you value that is at your disposal to be able to really grow and to really create change in the world and impact. And so I'm super excited to see you here next week. Make sure you also follow my Instagram, and all the links and stuff will be below. But yeah, thank you for spending time with me today. And remember, you must have vision before you add volume. Thank you.